So this is a new project. This is something that I picked up a couple of days ago, and I've been holding off on showing anybody because honestly I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do with it. So this is a 1948 Ford 8N tractor. And the reason that this project is so interesting is because I don't know anything about tractors. As a matter of fact, I've never even driven a tractor. I haven't even sat on this tractor. Anyway, we picked this up, and this is going to be a project for us for the next little while. It ran last time it was moved, which was about 2 years ago, and it was moved just across the property and from the owner, and now it's ours. The battery is about 2 years old, so it looks like they replaced that battery last time they moved the tractor. They put a new battery in it. And the only problem we've got with it, well, other than the fact that it doesn't really run that well, is that this ignition right here, we don't have a key for. And so there's a bunch of things on here as well that aren't factory, if you will. Someone has taken some boxes, looks like they're the ones at the library or something, and they've bolted them onto the tractor to use to carry tools in, which is kind of a cool idea, but I'm sure maybe there's a better way to do that. And then there's a bunch of junk all over it that's just left from various projects over the years. This tractor was used last out at a hunt club to disc the ground to get it ready for planting each season. So I think what our plan is going to be to tear it down and to restore it and turn it back into what it wants to be, what it is in its soul, which for a 1948, which makes it what, 77 years old this year, is a parade tractor. Real pretty, real shiny, glossy white paint. This should be white, and all the orange down here, what looks to be orange to me, which in the camera may look red, but what looks orange to me should be red. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take it apart, sandblast it, repaint it, check all the innards, make sure it all works properly, and then we're going to put it all back together and see if we can get it running. So here's the kicker. I don't know anything about tractors, and I'm going to need some help. So if any of you are watching this, if you happen to pick up this video and you know anything about the Ford 8N, and you think I'm doing something wrong, you think I should do something different, if you think there's a better way to do it, if there's a better website, if there's better resources out there for parts or for maintenance or videos, point them my way. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear it because honestly, I want to do this right. I think this is a fantastic tractor. It is cool looking. I've got a friend that has an 8N. He hasn't restored his, but he does have it running, and that's the one that one of my sons has driven. And so yeah, we're looking forward to this project. So stick with me, follow along, and this is going to be interesting. So right now it's about 8 o'clock at night, and so I think I'm going to go around and I'm going to do some work on this, and I'll let you guys follow along as I do it. And I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit. So I'm going to pull off the boxes. I'm going to try to pull some of this stuff off that's not stock with the tractor. And yeah, let's see how this goes. All right, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to grab some tools out of the toolbox here, and I'm going to pull a bunch of these wires off. There's a bunch of, it looks like a bunch of old wires that were on here and some straw that have been on here for a while for past projects. I don't know what they wired onto this or what they put onto these little eye hooks, but they put a bunch of this on here. And for the ignition, you might be wondering what I'm going to do about the ignition. I actually ordered one and am waiting for it to come in. My understanding is that the way these work with the ignition from a friend of mine is that they don't actually start the tractor. It's more of a security mechanism that when you have the key, you turn it on. The starter is in the middle there, and between that and the security mechanism is what starts the tractor. So you don't actually start the tractor with the key. It just makes it so that you can start the tractor. It allows the rest of the electrical to work. So that's what, and so I'm hoping that that will go very quickly and easily. I gotta make sure I don't cut this wire. I'm not certain that this light here isn't original, but a 48, this looks like this light was made more somewhere in the 80s, and I'm gonna guess that this wiring that runs loosely down over next to the wheel is not original either. Because I think Ford would have done a better job of running this wiring if they had been the ones that did it. As a matter of fact, this wire actually sits loosely up under here, and so it's not connected to anything. And it runs down into the frame, and it looks like it runs down below somewhere. It goes into a little hole that it's fished through, and then it runs down somewhere else. So I'm wondering if maybe they ran this wire and they intended to actually wire that light up and never did. But I guess we'll know that too once we get the power turned on to this thing and we get some juice running. What I don't see here is, I don't know if this button is for lights. It's got to be for lights, and maybe it runs the backup light as well. I thought it might have been a choke at first, but it clicks twice, one out halfway and then out full way. So that might be a choke. If you know what that is, put it in the comments. I'd like to know. I'd also like to unwrap this steering wheel, but I'm gonna feel it a little bit here. Let me go around the other side so you're not staring at me. You're not staring at me on my back. But I'm wondering why they wrapped the steering wheel in duct tape. Right there, it feels like there's a break in the steering wheel. So let's grab a blade and cut this off. It looks like there was some kind of a wrapping that went around the wheel itself. So as we cut this open, we'll get a view of what this is going to look like. So let me slice this a little more. And I want to be careful too, because I'm a little concerned that there might actually be some, that just made a mess on the floor. There's nothing left in here but this metal wire. It goes around. So I suspect that's what most of the steering wheel is going to be. I don't think that that's the way that it originally came. Matter of fact, I think it's highly unlikely that it came this way. Most likely, we're going to find down at this end where it's fat, we're going to find what it actually looked like. So let me try to turn the wheels a little bit, which would be a lot easier if the tires were not flat. And you can see the front tires are flat. We're going to need to air these up because this tractor is going to have to move in and out of here a bit because I use the garage for a number of other things. But so I think maybe let's leave that on for now. I just wanted to see what was underneath it. The next thing we need to do is put some air in the tires and find out what PSI they should be at, and then put air in the tires at that PSI. So let's do that next, because this thing is certainly going to have to be moved next week. I bought a new Borla exhaust for the new Jeep, and I want to put that on, and I can't do it with this here. I need to be able to back the Jeep. I need to be able to back the Jeep into the garage, and I want to do it inside the garage where I have all the tools and stuff right here. So let's check and see what the PSI on the tires should be. I'm trying to find what the PSI rating is. That's interesting. It shows here max speed 25 miles an hour. Maybe there is a warning over here. Let me do this. Let me get a brush. The ignition came in today. With the key, yeah, with a new key. This is a stiff bristle brush. This is actually a masonry brush, but it might work for us. Let's put some light on it. Well, it's maybe not quite enough. Let's see if we can. Well, there's 77 years of dirt. Let's see if we can see this. 35, it says, do not exceed 35 psi when seating beads. Never weld the rim without first, yada yada. Okay, so it looks like 35. All right, it took me a little bit to find the air gauge, the fill gauge. These workbenches are new, and I haven't gotten used to where I put everything yet. So let's bring these up to 35 psi. The front ones anyway, and then we'll figure out what the back ones need to go to. Let's refill the compressor. Yeah, that made a huge difference on the front. I wonder if it'll make the oh wow, the tires turn so much easier. Yeah, I guess turning on not flat tires is probably a good thing. So let's see if we can figure out what the tire pressure needs to be on the big ones here. If they have a giant warning sign that's 3 paragraphs long, or if it'll just tell us what the PSI is. Here it is. Here's the warning paragraph. And it says, don't go faster than 20 miles an hour with a max load of 1,990 pounds at 18 PSI cold. Wow, 18, that's pretty low. I mean, maybe not for a tractor, I have no idea, but it's low for a car, I'll tell you that. The only time we get that low in the cars is if we're off-roading and we're dropping, when we go to the beach, we'll drop the PSI of the Jeep down to 20 up in North Carolina. And, but what I'm not seeing here, and I'm sure some of you are going to be laughing at me, what I'm not seeing here is a fill valve. I assume that's because it would probably get ripped off if this thing ended up in the mud or ended up in some nasty spaces. So let's see if it's on the inside of the rim. That would seem like a safer place to put it. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So if you look up inside, our fill valve is right up there. There's also a wasp's nest in here, fortunately dead, but the fill valve is right up there. So that means I've got to back the tractor up, I'm gonna guess about 2 feet. But let's see if I can, roll this backward. I'm gonna move the wheel chocks that are under the rear tires, the back chocks. And let's see if I can move this by myself backward. I hope so, because it's gonna need to be moved a number of times. There we go. I'm gonna go until I can see the, there they are right there. All right, and there we are. That one also didn't have a cover on it, so we'll have to try to find one for that. That one actually had a bunch of dirt in it I had to clean out while I was trying to get the thing to connect. But anyway, so that gets us air in the tires. Now let's see if it rolls forward any easier now that they're full. Actually, quite a bit easier. Noticeably easier, like one-handed. All right. So, I don't think I'd try to roll this thing up or down a hill, but it is moving quite a bit better. So that's great. The next thing I want to do, I think tonight, is I think I'd like to take the boxes off, the little tool boxes that somebody fashioned and put on there. I'm going to see if I can get those off. If they're going to require an angle grinder or something to take them off, I think I'm going to leave them for now. But if I can just unbolt them, if they're not too rusted up, then I'm going to go ahead and take them off tonight after I put the compressor away. All right. I also think